vamos. Hoy vamos a presentar, como ha dicho antes Ale, el evento más grande de la historia del Twitch Rivals. Vamos a presentar a 200 participantes con sorpresas masivas.
Around a year ago, 150 streamers were captured, being used as mere puppets for the spectators' entertainment and forced to compete in a life or death game. There would only be one winner and only one survivor. This year, the event was to be held again for the same prize, this time with 200 streamers and one major difference. No longer would the event be exclusive to Spanish-speaking creators. They were going worldwide. The first event made Twitch history, with the protagonist of last season having over 1 million live concurrent viewers. And this year, with some of the largest content creators in the world participating, the event would make history again. On the first day, everyone was anxious. Many of last year's participants were repeating the event, so they already had an idea of what they were up against. But this year, there was a lot of fresh meat from different communities who perhaps did not know exactly the level of danger and stress they would have to endure for the next week straight. And although there was a language barrier and many did not know how both communities would integrate, ultimately they came together in a very natural way. Influencers, I guess.
Hola.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
Hola, señor, ¿cómo están todos hoy?
¿Cómo estás tú? ¿Estás bien?
Muy bien, ¿estás bien?
Muy bien, muy bien. Les deseo buena suerte a todos los participantes.
¡Oh, increíble!
With everyone getting to know each other, and after witnessing crossovers we would have never thought we'd get to see, Squid 2 begin.
Me gustaría darles una cordial bienvenida. Todos los presentes participarán en juegos diferentes durante 6 días. Aquellos que ganen todos los juegos obtendrán un hermoso premio en efectivo.
Many participants climbed those stairs for the second time and knew that there was no coming back. From there on, the levels of stress would rise and the tension would get so thick that you'd be able to cut it with a knife. The participants would be forced to face the most brutal life or death challenges.
El primer juego se llama Pamplona. Deberán correr mientras las bestias avanzan hacia ustedes. Si son alcanzados por una de las bestias, serán eliminados.
In the first test, they would have to run away from some very angry and aggressive bulls. In these challenges, if you fail, you are eliminated.
The left side didn't open! What? Yo! Oh my god. Something's falling. Oh! Oh my god! I'm gonna be second! I'm gonna be second!
The first test had been completed and the most unfortunate had already died. This would raise the tension of the atmosphere to 100 since they realized that there was no mercy and would receive no form of compassion. Cito, like in the first event, broke his record, and after a great start and without much waiting, we would be taken directly to the second test.
El juego se llama Juguemos en el Bosque. Ustedes deberán cantar con ella Juguemos en el Bosque. Si al preguntar la luz se enciende de color verde, asegúrense de esconderse antes de que el lobo salga a buscar.
The second test began with all staring at a doll in the middle of the forest while they all sang alongside it. But once the light turned green, it was time to hide. Everyone spread over the terrain as the rounds kept passing. In the first round, only one wolf went after the competitors, but as the rounds went by, more wolves came out for blood.
F. Me cago en su puta madre. Primer día a tomar por culo.
Finally, the second test came to an end and the people headed to the dormitories. 30 participants had been eliminated. To recap what happened on the first day, the events were very hectic, and if in last year's event we were spectator hopping from streamer to streamer like psychopaths to experience every perspective, in this one we had the RAM all the way up to 100. We even got to see XQC and his copycat together.
Soy parte del grupo, chicos. Soy parte del grupo. Ellos no lo saben.
Everybody was fangirling when they saw Tense. They even asked him to do his special attack.
Can we get one keyboard smash? Just one.
As I mentioned, the communities integrated very well, making it so that many people's dream collaborations were fulfilled.
I'm gonna have to say I'm surprised. I thought I was gonna be fighting your girlfriend.
¿Esto qué es, tío?
Among the people who died in the first day was poor Luzu, who in the last event made it all the way to the finals, but in this one, he did not have the same luck. Ibai also died in the first day, but his story did not end there. Amaranth was one of the favorites of the event because of how good she is at Minecraft, of course, but she also died. This year, we didn't get a protagonist per se, but I did have my eye on some interesting candidates. Obviously, one of them being Chokas, who gave us a lot of drama last season. The legendary Dream also had to be a favorite because look at this guy's numbers, and also YouTube has been spamming the life out of me with his shorts.
Wait, what?
We also had a group of Minecraft pros, and there were quite a few, but among them, my favorites were El Rich, Ollie, Spring, Devi Q, and Raptor. I was also following George Not Found, and we'll see who among them becomes the face of Squidcraft this year. Day 1 ended with 170 participants left alive. On the second day, everyone was anxious. They overcame the first day, but we were only starting. This time, everything went from happiness to pure distress. First game was Simon Says. In this test, Simon would tell you to bring him something or to do an action. The people who managed to accomplish these commands would be saved.
Simón dice que me agarre de la pelota. Simón dice que te calla la boca, mongolo. Pues nada, estoy fuera, ¿no? ¿Y las palomitas dónde estaban? Buah, yo estoy fuera ya, ¿no? ¿No soy el último? No puede ser. ¡Werry, me cago en tu p***!
Simon's game went on for many rounds with many unlucky victims and others passing at the very last second. They would then head on to the second test of the game, which was Capture the Tail, where you would have to capture a tail, and if you reach the finish with your tail still on, you pass the test. And if Simon Says gave them a bad time, this time we would really get to see what Squidcraft is all about. Many quickly figured out that the best strategy was to grab a tail and climb a rope so that nobody could reach them. But those who didn't experienced 10 minutes of pure suffering.
Por favor, ya, 9 segundos. Por favor, loco, por favor, neta, ya. ¡Ya!
Amigos. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
In this last test, many people died unjustly, while others, like XQC, died in the most pathetic way possible. Recapping the second day, it was a very good day to establish the seriousness and the level of danger that you could run into. Many people in the second test came to understand what it's like to think that you were going to be saved only to die at the very last second. Some participants even got interviewed by the guards.
Come with me, bro. I don't know what is happening. I'm just a streamer from Murcia.
Hey there! Hi!
I did nothing wrong, I did nothing wrong.
Eres tú quien ha estado causando problemas este día, ¿eh?
No problema ninguno, yo la verdad.
Yeah. Are you comfortable? Do you need anything like a coffee or a donut, maybe?
I'll have some water.
Anyways, great. I am the lead investigator.
El primer reto fue toda una aventura. Me divertí bastante viéndolos correr. Muchos ya están acostumbrados a que les pongan el cuerno, ¿no?
¿Me has dicho que me han puesto los cuernos?
Squidcraft proved to many that it's not fair, and whoever didn't learn it by now, on the third day, they would. The third day was my favorite. The stress levels were rising both among spectators and participants. Those who had come this far had already fulfilled a goal, but many knew that today would be their last day alive. The first massacre was about to happen. The guards gave food to the participants because they hadn't eaten for 2 whole days. Amongst the food was a glass bottle, which the participants could use as weapons if the lights went out. Many players formed teams while others were too afraid and didn't want to attack. But in all these stories, there's always a villain, a being so evil who only cares about their self-interest, someone who is not afraid of anything or anyone, a person who is hated by all and would do anything and everything that's necessary to reach their final goal. That person had a name. The villain of this story is El Rich MC.
¡Vamos! ¡Buena, Farfa! Ya está hecho, chicos. Ya he hecho el trabajo. ¡Algún sitio para darme toda esta sangre!
The lights finally turned back on, and the guards wouldn't give them a second to breathe, as they must go to the next test. In this game, they would have to play as a team and capture some eggs that they would then have to take to their team's site, which would count as 1 point. The team with the most points by the end of the round would go on to the next test. And as if we were in an esports style clash at the Roman Coliseum back in the gladiator times, carnage happened.
99-96 de partida está igualadísimo, señoras y señores. Y esto 305, esto es tremendo. El amarillo se con un sumador más. Todos los puntos son importantes. 117 a 105 están sumando los amarillos. Está intentando limpiarlo como puede, pero los amarillos están metiendo un push tremendo. ¡Remontado! ¡Ha remontado! ¡Es tremendo! Pero el amarillo también. ¡El amarillo también! ¡Se van! ¡Se van! ¡Se van! ¡Se van! ¡Se van! ¡Se van! El huevo que no llega. El huevo que no llega. El huevo que no llega. Está sumando, no me lo creo. ¿Dónde está sumando? ¿Dónde está sumando? Que yo no me lo creo. 139 el huevo que suma. Están a 9, están a 8, están a 7. Yo no me lo puedo llegar ni a creer. Están a 6, yo no me lo creo. ¡Ha entrado! ¡Han remontado! No me lo creo, están a 2. Quedan 9. ¡No me lo creo! Sprint eliminado.
This third day was pure slaughter. Too many people died, among them some of the greatest streamers. If you thought they would live, then you were wrong. Among some of those who died were XQC, Rubius, Dream, Auron, Tubo, and even Gudo. Hi, my name is German. Also, last year's protagonist died at the hands of El Rich, and let's just say he did not take it in the best way. And before we go to the next day, as if Squid had its own Netflix live-action anime spin-off, we had the perspective of Ibai, who died in the first day but was resurrected and became one of the guards. And I'm sorry for people who don't understand Spanish because you didn't get to enjoy this live. You should have paid more attention in school. So let's take a look at how Ibai's plot began, and pay attention because it'll be key to a storyline that happens behind the scenes.
¡Estoy más vivo que nunca, cabrón! ¿Sí?
Este la palmó anoche.
No, estoy vivo,
Tranquila.
¿No le matas? Está vivo, se queda con nosotros.
¡Cállate!
A ver, me habéis puesto el traje. Yo soy uno de los vuestros. Soy un known de estos. ¿Soy un infiltrado? Pero, a ver, un segundo. ¿Pero vosotros dos queréis escapar de aquí también o cómo?
Correcto. Yo me voy a quedar aquí.
¿Y tú?
Y ella… Vale.
Yo vengo buscando a alguien y nos vamos.
Vale, te digo reglas muy rápido, ¿vale?
¿Sí?
No te quites la máscara bajo ningún concepto, nunca jamás.
O
no
sea,
hables con nadie que tenga una máscara como tú.
¿Nunca has pensado por qué estamos trabajando aquí? ¿Alguna vez te lo has planteado?
No tengo ni una jodida idea.
Nos podemos unir. Somos fuertes, tenemos armas, somos muchos. Pensadlo. ¿Cómo? Te van a matar.
Ostras, tío. Lo siento mucho, ¿eh? Ese he sido yo. Me sabe mal, ¿eh? Lo siento por daros trabajo, perdón.
Sacadme un selfie rápido. Que yo seguía a Gref en el Fortnite.
Tengo la captura, te etiqueto en Twitter al rato.
He notado que todo el equipo estaba con miedo. Como con un poco…
Quiero reventarlo.
Un poco gallinas, vamos a decirlo alto y claro. Entonces he intentado promover la violencia extrema, la sangre y los homicidios de la mejor forma posible, intentando que mis compañeros maten, que se ensucien las manos, que usen las botellas con cristales rotos. Y al final pues nos hemos hecho como 5… no más, 7, 8 kills.
¿Usted cree que ha matado a muchos anglosajones? ¿O a muchos españoles, traidor de mierda?
¿Cómo?
¿Has aprovechado tu excesivo poder para matar a los más débiles?
No, porque hemos matado probablemente al que más miedo nos daba, que era Dream, así que no.
¿Entre cuántos?
2.
Ya tenemos respuesta a la pregunta de cuántos jugadores españoles de Minecraft buenos se necesitan para matar a Dream. 2.
Ah, sí, bueno, pero hay que jugar 6.
Perdona, quiero corregirte, espero que no me mates.
Jefe,
Espabila,
deberíamos matar a Shadowne.
Sí, sí,
¿por qué?
sí.
Suena bastante tentador, ¿eh?
Rich, ¿por qué, Rich? Traición, traidor.
¡Muerte a Francia!
Buenas noches. Se acabó. Ahí está. A tomar por culo, tú.
Tira el huevo, no cuenta. No cuenta. No cuenta. No cuenta. No cuenta. Azul. Azul.
2 millones de reproducciones. ¿Qué cojones?
Esta es la base del juego de ayer, ¿vale? Esta es la base, por ejemplo, del equipo rojo. ¿Qué ha pasado? Pues bien, que esta pared estaba desplazada por un bloque. Estos bloques no te iban a contar. Si ponías el huevo aquí, no te contaban los puntos. Y esto es algo que ha afectado a todos los jugadores. Así que algunos. Exacto, sí, es difícil de explicar.
This day, there was a lot of drama because apparently there was an error in the egg game which put the yellow team at a supposed disadvantage because of a programming bug that they explained, but nobody understood. The organizers decided that they would revive the people of the yellow team, a decision which made some competitors abandon the event. Cowards. The reason why some of the revived did not want to participate is that even though they were given a second chance, they would have them compete in a test in which only 4 would get to advance and rejoin the rest of the participants, and this did not seem fair to them. Cowards. But that's how it was done and the show went on. First trial of this day would be the deaf, the blind, and the mute, with each team having to synchronize to be able to go through a cave very carefully. Communication would be key. This test was great, full of hard challenges and unbelievable tension. Spreen was the favorite of many after being revived by the so-called errors of the last test. He and his team almost passed. Unfortunately, they all ended up dying.
¿Quién está muriendo? ¿Quién está muriendo?
And we move on to the next test, which would be questions and answers. A test which, like the previous one, would test the will of every player left alive. Here, we lost the favorite of many, Agente Maxo, rest in peace. Day 4 ended with 40 players, and remembering our favorites, besides those who had already died, Oli, Debbie Q, Raptor, and George passed the rounds without even struggling. I went through this day quickly because the real action was happening behind the curtains and was leading towards the end of the Squid Craft underlying story. Two of the guards took Ibai to a bathroom, very unprofessional if you ask me, and after talking for a while, one of them tells him to get into the docks to find the answers he seeks. As we had already seen, Ibai had tried to corrupt his companions. In addition, between the other 2 guards, it had already been heard that they were looking for a person, almost as if one of the officers had been infiltrated in search of some kind of secret.
Vamos a ir. Sí, porque yo he venido aquí a por respuestas y quiero saber qué pasa.
The other guard, though, did not want Ibai to enter the docks because there were many dangers beyond, and if someone saw him, it would mean instant death. While the other guard wanted him to go since this was the perfect opportunity to find the truth, especially about a woman named Melissa.
Escucha. Lo que encuentres, vienes y me lo dices, ¿vale? Es muy importante que busques el nombre de Melissa, ¿vale? Con M, Melissa. Con lo que sea me dices,
sí,
¿vale?
Pero aquí no me cabe el culo, ¿eh?
Ibai,
te cierro.
Vivas para contarlo.
He ends up entering alone, and as he crawls, he finds a fancy room.
¿Qué? Me cago en toda mi puta madre. Soy el puto rey del mundo, ¿eh? ¡Lo he conseguido! ¡Lo he conseguido! ¡Me pasé el juego, chavales! ¡Ya soy el ganador del juego del caraván! ¡Y nadie lo sabía! ¡Era el protagonista!
He then finds another room where he sees a masked guy with a gun, and without saying a word, this person shoots. And there ends that story with a single unknown. Who is Melissa?
Cine.
The 5th day started with 40 players. Everyone knew they were lucky to have made it this far. Today, the first test would be a lot of fun. The players who had to participate in a game of hangman. The participants were separated into groups of 5. One of the groups was full of very good Minecraft players, one of them being our main villain, El Rich. In this test, the participants would put a rope around their necks.
¡Ay, qué rico! ¡Ay, qué rico! Sí.
One of them would be chosen to make a drawing, which the other players would then have to guess what it is. You get points by guessing correctly, and the teams with the least amount of points accumulated would then be eliminated.
Impostor.
8, lo más seguro es que tenga vocales, ahí sí o sí.
Among Us. No, no es cierto, no es cierto.
Impostor.
This test ended with 30 players, which would go on to the next stage. But there was one person who was not going to be there with the rest, as our main villain had died. This test would be Milk the Cow, the worst one, but still relatively enjoyable. So the players separated into groups of 2, where they would have to milk a cow because fun, and carry the milk from one side to the other. The teams with the most milk accumulated would be the ones to advance to the next round. The game had begun.
¡Vamos! 18 llega primero, el 18 llega primero, el 18 llega primero, el 18 llega primero, son ellos. Cri gato, de puta madre, me alegro. ¡Oh! ¡Luz verde, Salaure y Conter! ¡Saponapo! ¡Sapi Jorge! ¡Oh! ¡Ay, ay, 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 ay! ¡Raptor, sí está!
Está bien, está bien. Está bien, GG.
Ha estado bien, hasta aquí hemos llegado.
¡No!
Hasta aquí hemos llegado.
The last day had arrived. After 6 whole days of pure massacre, drama, those who reached this moment were lucky. Of our protagonist candidates, Ollie, Debbie Q, Raptor, and George were still alive, but they knew that only one of them and the other 16 remaining participants would win the big prize. This day did not start with a game, but with their Last Supper. To entertain the spectators, we were shown a play which would give us some clues about a mystery that had not been resolved.
Érase una vez, en una isla muy, muy lejana. Deudores de todo el mundo habían sido capturados y traídos para jugar por una segunda oportunidad en sus vidas. Los juegos eran controlados por un hombre vestido como la noche, seguido por sus fieles soldados que dejaron su identidad en el olvido. Aquellos guardias debían cumplir 3 mandamientos: el silencio marcar, la máscara jamás quitar y en las instalaciones siempre estar. Es así como jugadores vestidos de turquesa y soldados de escarlata se encontraron en la isla por el mismo premio: la libertad. Cientos de guardias, marchantes y obedientes, se encargaban de guiar, cuidar e incluso eliminar a quienes eran partícipes de los juegos. Entre ellos se encontraba una joven guardia, firme y correcta a las órdenes del que todo lo ve. Hasta que un día recibió una nueva misión, una proveniente del corazón. Preocupada por el festín de emociones, ella se aferró a no desobedecer lo que su superior le imponía, pero con el cruce de miradas no temían a la presencia de un desconocido. Provocados por sus latidos, decidieron intercambiar palabras, aparentemente alejados del ojo público, rompiendo el silencio y una regla en el proceso. Los días volaron, tal y como los sentimientos entre los dos, mientras más se alejaban. No fue hasta la suspensión del juego, donde los soldados irrumpieron dentro de la sala para imponer calma, cuando las dos almas perdidas se encontraron nuevamente. Cada segundo era un escape de la realidad. Ambos encontraron la libertad personificada en el tiempo que compartían juntos. Los juegos quedaron en segundo plano, y el haberse conocido se convirtió en el verdadero premio. Aunque las acciones de cada uno eran sinceras, la duda por saber quién estaba detrás de la máscara ocupaba la mente del jugador. Y creyendo que nadie los vigilaba, la joven guardia se disponía a retirarse del anonimato y presentarse. Hasta que una alerta fue disparada, demandando el regreso de los guardias, porque el líder había sido informado. Juntos, guardia y jugador se adentraron en las fauces profundas de la isla, burlando la seguridad y recorriendo pasillo tras pasillo, tomados de la mano, mientras todo el mundo intentaba separarlos para siempre. Alcanzando un transporte marino, se embarcaron hasta escapar de las instalaciones, perdiéndose en la señal de rastreo y en sus miradas de confianza y anhelo.
As we heard in the story, we learn about this officer who fell in love with the participant, and according to what was said, she tried to escape from the island. This made me wonder, what if this was real and not fiction? I mean, that's a real fictional story within a piece of fiction. What if this officer was Melissa, the one Ibai was looking for? What if instead of escaping, she never really managed to leave the island? So then we find out the daughter of Melissa was the officer who was with Ibai. So all this time she has been in the facilities trying to discover where her mother was.
¿Dónde está mi madre?
¿Buscar a tu madre?
Sí.
No está.
Entiendo que pienses que eres un sabelotodo que sabe absolutamente todo de este sitio porque llevas muchos años, bla, 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 y todo esto. Pero lo que yo necesito saber...
Muerta. La mató él. Intenté que saliese contigo. Y solo pude rescatarte a ti.
Unfortunately, as we found out in the end, Melissa had died, leaving her daughter alone, trapped on the island. But this was all we got to see. Is the story really over? This reveal would not stop the event, though. As always, the show must go on. The participants then being taken to the first test of the day to determine who would be our two finalists. The gladiators were ready, and the last game would not be easy at all, since they would have to stand on an illuminated platform, and whoever was not on it would end up dying.
No hay ninguna más. Y chicos, estoy muy contento de verdad de haber llegado hasta aquí, tío.
¡Mátame! ¡Mátame! ¡Aquí estoy! Estoy listo. Solamente mátame, aquí estoy. Aquí estoy.
Don't go. Don't.
It's the end, Samna. It's
No,
the end.
no, no. Don't leave me.
It's the end.
Don't
It's the
leave
end.
me. Don't leave me! Wait, you lived! You lived! You lived!
Wait, what?
You lived!
Wait, what?
You lived! Joy!
After everything, finally, we had our two finalists, Shadone versus Sabnap. By now, you probably realized that all of our protagonist candidates had failed us. They all died. None of them were capable of handling the pressure of reaching the finals. Most of those that I was supporting were Spanish-speaking, and all of them had died. But there was still some hope left. Although Shadone is French and speaks Spanish in cursive.
Hay gente que lo dijeron, hay gente que lo dijeron.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
He was the only one who could represent the Spanish-speaking community, so even the Spaniards who passionately hate France were supporting the last fighter.
¡Vamos, Shadone!
Shadone.
En el chat, chavales, por un francés.
Apoyando en francés, así es.
Así es la vida, chicos.
Both finalists went through 6 days of torture, facing challenges that in a blink could end your life. They even had to see their closest friends die in front of them, the stench of their blood never to be forgotten. It was not because of luck that they reached this point. It was fate itself that had selected them. And they knew that only one of them would leave alive and $100,000 richer.
¿Qué es esta mierda? A ver. Ah, qué falla de mierda.
Come on. Politics is one big compliment. Not dead.
¿Qué va a jugar? Safe. Sí o sí. Tenemos por this. ¡No! Oh.
Yes!
Qué pena.
Yes! Woo! Let's fucking go!